Yeah, let's give Coach Boyle and the Buffaloes a ton of credit for, I thought, shorthanded without their point guard and leading scorer to come in here and scrap the way they did and give themselves, an opportunity to win the game. But once again, the United Supermarkets arena is amazing. I mean, our students were unreal. And just to be able to play here, I don't ever want to take it for granted, and I'm so thankful to be a part of this. And for our guys to have that type of atmosphere at home is just, it really is awesome. So, we had moments where we were solid defensively, but we didn't make them miss. And they did make some tough twos. And we did limit them from three, which we felt like would be the difference in the game if we could limit 3-point shots. But, man, give them credit. I thought they made some tough twos. But our team did share the ball well tonight. We didn't turn it over, and we put ourselves in position to win the game and got out of it without really any significant injuries. So that's a win.
Coach, had you seen an offense this season quite like Colorado's? Because it looked like they were just sort of attacking inside with multiple post players, almost more like a traditional post type of an offense. I don't remember seeing anything like that before this year.
Yeah, going into the game, when I spoke to you all, I said it was like I felt like it was going to be, could we guard in the post? I mean, could we be physical enough to keep them from scoring down there? But really, we just didn't want it to lead to foul trouble and inside-out threes. Like how do you leverage what you want to do? And, man, the baskets that Diop made, I mean, those weren't easy shots. And I thought we did make it tough enough on Malone, and he's a great player. But then Dak got in there and made a couple tough ones. He banked one in. So, I mean, honestly, they started making some pretty tough baskets down there. We only gave them a few that we felt like were scouting reports errors, but I was concerned about going into the game. Like, how could we guard into the post and how could we keep them pushed away where they didn't create foul pressure on us? And that's what I was saying to start this deal. And give them credit because I didn't think they backed down 1 second. I thought they consistently got after it and played physical and made it difficult on us to get away from them.
And Colorado seemed to stay just barely within striking distance the entire game. And then Christian Anderson, late in the game, had that steal, layup, and one. And that looked like kind of the door slammer. Could you just talk about that play a little bit? It seemed like a toughness play to me there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we did feel like our ball pressure would be the difference in the game over the course of 40 minutes, and we just needed to be consistent with it. And E was great all game long, and then we changed up who was guarding up top, and then Christian got a deflection. I actually literally showed that identical play today in film to our team. Like, we did feel like the game would be close enough because they do have good size and people aren't getting away from them. I mean, they've been playing in games, but we felt like, especially with Hammond not playing, if we could keep constant pressure on them, eventually maybe we could turn them over and create an opportunity. And we didn't turn them over very many times, only 10, but that one I did think did break their back in regards to the momentum of the game and basically put them on their heels enough that it felt like the game was in our favor at that point.
This is the third time this season that y'all have hit 16 threes. What can you say about this group of guys from beyond the arc?
Well, my favorite part about it is just it goes from a lot of different guys. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys make threes, and Kerwin obviously making 4, which was awesome. But Chance started the game, I think, 3 for 3, and then, or maybe it was not that, but it just felt like he was consistent and the ball got shared. And when the ball gets shared, I mean, we had some great possessions with ball movement. Those were the ones I loved. We had a few where we stalled out and played one-on-one in the middle, but give them credit because they switched and went zone and changed up defensive coverages a few times and kept us on our heels. But, man, what a fun team to coach because all of them are unselfish and our team really does share the basketball and everybody can shoot. So, I mean, how do you defend it, especially when JT's making threes?
You said prior to the season starting with the loss of Joe Toussaint, y'all were still looking for that on-ball defender. I'm just curious this far into the season if you feel you've found that guy.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Hawkins is definitely the consistent effort guy in that area. He's just not giving up angles, and he's making it difficult, and he's learning to do it without fouling.
You said earlier this week about how this game was going to come to defending without fouling. How do you feel that your team is addressing and being able to tackle the defense?
Well, one, I thought Federico really is. I mean, if you look at us as a primary defender, I think he's the guy that really is the person that gives us. He's the X factor defensively. I mean, JT's got so much talent offensively, and at times he's active, but the load he carries, we really need to include Fede in there more so that he can anchor us there, and that's where I think our team has really made the biggest strides. Is having him and our ball screen coverages and our help when we don't get fatigued is great. My area of concern is when we do have to play these guys extended minutes, do we have the fight in real games to maintain that physicality? And we call it a grab the wall segment, but it just really is about, like, can we, at that 12 medium mark when it's starting to get close to it, can we keep fighting and keep scrapping and keep being physical? And I can tell you we've had some times where it's been good, and then tonight we actually had a few times where it wasn't good enough. But those are the separators to me in winning real games in March, is your grit when you get to those segments right before medias.
Elijah and Christian with 11 out of your 18 assists. What does it say about both those players that they could take the shot, and Christian did make 12 points, but they do find the open man?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite part of this is they're working so well together. They do enjoy playing with each other, but I thought he had a really good start to the game, and I thought Christian didn't have a great start, but then Christian kind of carried the load in the middle, and that's what's fun about having 2 point guards that can both shoot and both can create opportunities for their teammates. And then you throw D5 in that mix and Chance McMillan, and that's just about as good as you can get in college basketball.
Was your sub pattern kind of a conscious effort? Was it a game plan effort to kind of spread out those minutes like you guys did tonight?
Yeah, I definitely went into it trying to sub a little quicker and trying to create, more opportunities and spread out the minutes and not load anybody up with 30. But JT was going so well, and honestly, D5 looked a little like he wasn't moving as well, and so I left JT out there a little bit more but definitely was intentionally trying to get Kerwin and KO, Kevin Overton, more minutes so that we could, disperse the minutes a little bit and try to stay somewhat healthy.
And you talked about Kerwin, his just ability to kind of and willingness to stay ready the whole time, but kind of go back to when you first got here. You got to convince guys to kind of stay with you. And he's one of the guys that's been here. He's been here for 3 years. That's a long time in college basketball.
Yeah, it is. He's a unicorn.
But just having somebody like that around from your first day to this point now, what he's kind of brought to this program.
Yeah, man. What I'll never forget, when I took the job, I was basically sleeping in the office. And, the office at the Womble, which is the best practice facility in the world, which – thank you, Dusty Womble. There's no greater supporter that I can think of for college basketball than him. But, I'm up in that office, and I have a view of the court, and literally Kerwin Walton was living in the gym. I'm not joking. He was up there as much as I was. It'd be 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. I usually left about 2, and then we would get there early. But he was just in there the entire time. And I can't tell you how many times I saw his shot go in. And if you go back and look historically at the teams that we've coached, we've set the record for the most threes made in a season. We've had the single season record held by an individual to make the most threes in a season too. So when I met with them and I saw all those shots going in, I'm like, dude, you will play here for us. I mean, like, why? Because I just value what you do. And if you'll work hard defensively, I'll coach you and help you get better. And he just looked at me like, you got it, and I do think he genuinely trusted me. And I do think when you take over jobs, it did take a while. I mean, we got to the last day of the transfer portal closing before he made his official decision. But I had enough time to be around him, and he had enough time to be around me to know I didn't think anyone would ever outwork him. So if he has that kind of mentality, that I did feel like we could help him get better defensively. And that's where he needed the greatest amount of growth. But the way we move guys and the way I give guys confidence and the way we give guys confidence, I did think he would play for us genuinely, and he did. And it's a credit to him. honestly, it's a total credit to him for how hard he works and how much he genuinely is always ready because of that work. And nobody's worked harder than him. Nobody. In regards to a daily routine and being consistent, Kerwin Walton has made such an impact on me as a coach, and I'm so thankful that he decided to stay and be a part of this, and I'm hopeful that we get to reward him with one of the best seasons in Texas Tech basketball history. Honestly, I do. And up to this point, it has been a great one, but I do think he knows that our best days can be ahead of us, and it's because of his work that we're in this position today, and I'm so thankful for he and for his family.
And guys having to trust you, JT comes in. He could have stayed in the draft, but he came in trying to up his stock and put that trust in you guys to kind of do that. Have you had conversations with scouts and general managers about that, and where do you think he's made that biggest leap from where he first got here to where he is now putting up these kind of numbers?
Yeah, I mean, his production's always been great from a rebounding standpoint, and, that left hook's remarkable. But to me, his ownership to how the game needs to be played with the guys on our team, that's where he's made. I mean, he was kind of a four-man that was more of a rebounder and didn't handle the ball. And, I mean, his usage is the highest on our team. And so he's touching the basketball at the top of the key, in the post, like he's handling it. We broke the press with him a couple times tonight. I mean, he's doing a really good job of making decisions for a lot of people. And I think the most underrated skill that he has is his ability to pass. And I think we all know this. Like his ceiling's basically going to be determined by his ability to guard. Like, can you guard multiple positions, and can you guard in ball screens? I mean, and that's an area that he needs to improve. I mean, his urgency to want to be better at it, though, has been awesome. It's just a matter of, can he get more reps and more experience where he has the ownership on that end of the floor. But my favorite thing about looking at JT right now is when he messes up and I look at him, he does this. And he had a great wall up in the first half, and he's been fouling people, and I thought he made a step in the right direction in regard to that, but he's been relentless in all areas, and he's worked. I mean, he's actually practiced as hard as anybody on our team right now, and that's to his credit. So I don't talk to GMs specifically about next year because I don't care about that right now. I mean, I care about making JT the best basketball player he can be for this team, and if he does those things, then he will be one of the best players and he'll get drafted. So honestly, everybody's asking me, like, do you think JT will come back? And I'm like, honestly, I hope not, because that means that we won the whole thing and he's a obvious lottery pick. You know what I mean? Like, that's my mentality with this deal is let's get everything we can to put him in the best position, our team in the best position for us to be good. And he had 30 and 14 tonight. And do I think he can play better than that? Yes, I actually do. So let's push him to be the best he can be, and then that'll put him in the best position. We'll let that stuff take care of itself after we win.
Like you were saying, I guess, just how well JT has been playing recently and just how consistent Darian and Chance have been all season. What does that say about you and your staff's ability to bring these guys in when they transfer and, maybe they have some pedigree from where they were before, but to elevate them to kind of the level that they can attain like that?
Yeah, well, the one thing that you got to start with when you're recruiting guys and you're trying to build a roster is you got to tell them the truth. Like, honestly, you just tell them, like, this is what you're great at. This is what you got to get better at. This is how we can help you get better. And you don't make it sound like they're going to average 100 and, going to be a lottery pick. I mean, it doesn't mean that isn't something that you would want to tell them, hey, we're going to help you get ready. But honestly, we're just confident and we've got enough history, and I'm thankful to be on enough great staffs that we can show how we do improve guys. And so they see it, so then they can trust us. But we don't sugarcoat it. That's the truth. I mean, we tell them the truth. Like, this is where you got to get better, and this is genuinely how we can help you. But we do believe in guys. I hope that's what they feel. Like, we coach them hard, but we believe in them. Like when you get put in the position, I don't think anybody sees any of these guys second-guessing shooting, I actually yell at Kerwin and Chance for not shooting, and that's the truth. So it's a matter of just playing the game with a grit and physicality defensively. That's what I care about, is like the edge. That's what usually doesn't allow someone to meet their potential offensively if they don't care about those things, which means you care about winning more than you care about your individual stats, which in the end allows you to have the best individual stats you've ever had in your life. Like, there is this real team aspect to it that when you play for the team, you play better. When you play for yourself, you suck. And I think these guys are starting to see that. And when, like, a few possessions where we moving the ball, I mean, who cares who shoots it? And then it's like then you play your absolute best. And that was fun to be a part of tonight at times.
Grant, after the big win at KU on Saturday, there's always an opportunity to have a letdown. Do you motivate them, or do they motivate themselves?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two, but we've got enough experience together in this building. Take, for example, the Arizona State game that we're about to play again and the Oklahoma State game. I mean, we took some leads and had some advantages and looked like we could pull away, but then the next thing you know, you're in a one-possession game. And so I think we showed them the game that they played against TCU at TCU, and then how they beat UCF and how they beat Baylor. And Baylor had a chance to extend the lead, but they didn't. And then they let them back into it by giving up offensive rebounds and giving up baskets at the rim. And we just felt like there was enough experience with these guys where now they're starting to respect the game and how you got to compete every possession and don't look at the opponent in regard to what they've done and know in the Big 12, you better bring it every night. I did feel like we had an urgency to that, and thankful our guys are great guys that learn from experience and they can build on it, and they feel like we're not where we need to be and we need to get better.
Hey, Coach. A couple days ago, we spoke about what the team needed to do as far as points of emphasis for the game, and you said accountability. 2 games has happened since then, the Kansas game and then tonight's game against Colorado. How do you feel the accountability is for this basketball team right now?
Well, I will tell you, I mean, I think an example of maybe our guys leaning into this was JT on a wall-up at the rim in the first half and then coming up with the rebound. Like, he's starting to see, like, hey, I'm going to go put this into the game. That's why I tell him, like, we practice wall-ups every day. Like, JT, you got to put this into the game. Because there was a possession where they dribbled baseline and he reached and we fouled at KU, and all he needed to do was go wall up, and he doesn't get a foul. He didn't have to sit out, and we may end up making a miss and a rebound. And he's such a long, athletic guy, like, really get vertical, and he did it in the first half, and it was fun. We went to the timeout, and all those guys were cheering for each other, cheering for JT, and it's they're used to me letting somebody have it in those timeouts, and that was a celebration in a timeout. I do think the accountability of practice is starting to bleed over into the game more consistently, and I did think us playing without fouling tonight would be important, and we did end up doing a decent job of that, other than the fact they did get to the free throw line 21 times, but they do get fouled, but they also foul people, and that part of it, I thought there was some accountability there. But we still need to lean into that as a team, where we get guys out there that are taking ownership to it and helping each other see the importance of holding each other accountable.
Yeah. So last game of the regular season on the road against Arizona State, how do you continue as a team to win the games you're supposed to and you're expected to moving into more and more games in March?
Yeah, I think the focus is just on the possessions and the things we can do better, and over the course of the game, be problem solvers and don't go out there and think that one result should impact anything, whether it's good or bad. And I do think having that mindset of really playing every possession the way we need to as a team, not what's best for you as an individual, but what's best for us. Honestly, that's it. That's what I'm consumed with, and that's what our guys to be consumed with. And if you build enough of those possessions up, you end up winning the game. And if you didn't win the game, then somebody did some unbelievable stuff to beat you. And so, I do think our guys are starting to see the value in that, and of playing this thing every possession like it means it's the most important possession you can play. And I know they think I'm crazy because of it, but now they're starting to see, like, you can separate yourself and win games. And we've had some experiences. We lost TCU at TCU, and our guys, that bit us, And I didn't do a good enough job in that game in preparing us. And they know that we can't have another one of those, and we got to take every possession, because we started that TCU game and we were scoring. And we got up big, and I think our guys felt like, oh, this is going to be fun. We're going to win this game. And then all of a sudden they got offensive rebounds and bullied us and got offensive rebounds. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, this game's real. I mean, every game's physical and real. So I do think that the way you avoid losing games that that you should win, or by competing on every possession and letting that be the standard.
One more thing on Arizona State. They gave you guys everything you could handle, and then some. A couple weeks ago when they came here, what are you expecting out of that game, and what do you hope to accomplish? maybe avoid a game like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to look too far than last night's game that they played against Arizona. I mean, they scored 100 points and only had 4 turnovers, I think, in the game and played 6 guys. I mean, that's unbelievable. And we know what they're capable of, and they'll have our full attention. And Coach Hurley's doing a tremendous job keeping that team together with some crazy injuries and team dynamics that they're having to deal with. But I watched parts of that game while I was watching the Colorado game on my computer, and I had, a couple games up there that I was watching while that was going on, and that was one of them. And I can tell you they are not backing down. I mean, I don't care what their record is or what they've gone through. I mean, I think that team's playing offensively as good as any team from what I watched. And so, I mean, we're going to go into that with our full attention and playing as hard as we possibly can, and that's what's going to, I think, be the important part of that game. And whether they make shots or not, you can't control every single part of that. I mean, sometimes guys do make difficult shots, but your effort and attention to detail and scouting reports, you can't control that. And so our heart and our effort will be, what it needs to be to put ourselves in position. And we've got a lot of things we can grow on, and we have a tremendous amount of respect for Arizona State because of the way they're competing right now. Thank y'all.